Well, the government's unique identification program, or Aadhaar, has not had a great start in 2018. The bumpy ride doesn't seem to end. It began when the Tribune ran a story detailing how its reporter Rachna Khera was able to procure an ID and password to gain access to a portion of the Aadhaar database for just 500 rupees. Using this ID, she could look up personal demographic details linked to any Aadhaar number that she typed in. The government's response to this story was swift. First, the UIDAI and the government slammed the story, calling it a piece of misreporting. They also denied any breach or leak of data. The UIDAI followed this up by filing an FIR under sections of the Indian Penal Code relating to cheating by impersonation, forgery, and using as a genuine forged document. This FIR names the Chandigarh-based daily The Tribune, its reporter Rachna Khera, and 3 others. The FIR also invokes sections of the IT Act and the Aadhaar Act against the accused. The move has come under sharp criticism from the Editors Guild of India, the opposition, and a host of other bodies. It's been called an attack on the freedom of the press. However, IT and Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has reacted to the events by tweeting that the government is fully committed to the freedom of the press and maintaining the security of the Aadhaar program. He's also urged the UIDAI to ask the Tribune to assist in further investigations to get to the real offenders. Now, the UIDAI has put out a statement saying, and I quote, "The UIDAI is duty-bound to disclose all the details of the case which was in its knowledge at the time of filing the FIR and name everyone who is an active participant in the chain of the events leading to the commission of the crime, regardless whether the person is a journalist or anyone else, so that the police can conduct proper investigation and bring the real culprit to justice." It does not mean that all those who are named in the report are guilty or are being targeted. That is the UIDAI statement that's been put out. To discuss this issue further, we're joined by Raj Chengampa, President of the Editors Guild of India, BJP spokesperson Amit Malviya, Media Dharma founder Nikhil Pava, and Congress spokesperson Rohan Gupta. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us. Amit Malviya, let me start by asking you, because, there seems to be some contradiction between the statements that have been put out by the UIDAI as well as the tweets that have come in from Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. In his tweet, he seems to suggest that the FIR is only against unnamed persons. If I read the UIDAI statement to you, it's very clear that the FIR does name Rachna Khera as well as the Tribune as well. So, why the contradiction?
Let me first of all put on record the fact that no biometric data in this particular instance has been compromised, and for that matter, the biometric data has never ever been compromised.
That was not my question. That was not my question. That was not my question, neither my assertion. We have maintained, and as has the Tribune, that there was no breach of biometric data. The breach was of data that was linked to the Aadhaar card, which include email IDs, etc. No one has made the assertion that there was a leak of the biometric data.
All right, so let me just come to the other point. The fact is that here somebody got an unauthorized access to this database, which in itself is very low value data, and details such as those which are captured by Aadhaar and are in public domain are available at several other places, including the electoral roll, which is out there for people to download free of cost. You don't even need an access to it. But having said that, if there has been a breach of this kind, and if the UIDAI and the government of the day is taking appropriate measure, if there's a criminal breach that has happened, then obviously there's going to be law. I see here that the case is being made out for the journalist in question here to be above law. Is that the argument that is being put forward? The fact of the matter is that unless everybody involved in this process is investigated, is spoken to, there is no way we are going to find out what the loophole has been and how do we plug it. If there has been an instance of somebody giving an unauthorized access to the particular journalist, then he has to be part of the investigation. Yes. It is as simple as that. I don't know why people want to extend this to say this is against freedom of press, because that isn't the case at all.
Okay, I'll get Raj Chengampa to respond to that, but I want to pick up on one or two of the comments that you just made. Who decides what is low-value information? I wouldn't want my mobile number to be accessed by just about everybody. No. I wouldn't want my bank account details to be accessed by just about everybody. So who decides what's low-value information to start with? Because that's the argument that the BJP is putting forward, saying that, look, you can Google search and find the information. What's the big deal?
Well, can I just answer that, please? The Aadhaar captures your name, your date of birth, your sex, and your address. These are the only details that the Aadhaar card captures. You can pick up your card and you can find these details. Now,
that is untrue.
Now,
there is a mobile number, there is a primary email address. That's totally false.
Yes.
Mr. Malviya is not aware about the basic data.
Can I please finish?
Yeah. 1 second, Rohan. 1 second.
And the fact is that the fact is that this data and similar other agencies are available right there on the internet. Look at the electoral roll, for instance. If you go and look for anybody in a particular area in a given state, you will find all these details and more. Now, the question is that if we are talking about privacy, and if you're talking about privacy of details such as name, your age, your sex, and perhaps even your mobile number, as you were saying, or email ID, then is it available only through an unauthorized access that somebody has made here in the UIDAI database? Or is it also available in the electoral roll and ration card and several other places? That is the question, and it does not in any way raise question on the UIDAI per se.
Okay, that's your point of view, but let me get our other panelists to respond to that, and I'll give Rohan Gupta an opportunity, and then I'll come to you, Nikhil. Rohan, very quickly, make your point in response to what you just heard there from Amit Malviya.
See, it's very, very surprising that BJP spokesperson still justifies the government stand. It's a fact that the data has been out in market, and when a reporter reports it, you are filing FIR against them. So come on, you have to be honest to country now. The country has seen your failures like note ban and all. You have never accepted your mistake. It's not, you know, criminal to make mistakes, but you have to admit it. And I'm surprised that person like you tells that there are no details like email address and mobile number in Aadhaar card detail. In every Aadhaar card detail, the primary member of every house, the senior member of every house, you have to give mobile number and your email address. Why you are not aware about this? So rather than finding out the issue with the system of government, you are filing complaints against media. What is this? This is your arrogance. This is not acceptable. You have to accept that there is some loophole and admit it and take actions where this kind of data doesn't go out in market. Why you are telling people to link everything to Aadhaar if you cannot protect the basic data? Nobody would like to get their mobile shared in the market. That's what is happening under your rule. Sure. So be honest and admit the mistake and find out the solution to mistake rather than filing complaints against media.
All right, Nikhil, very quickly respond.
Yeah, just because the electoral data is out there doesn't mean it should be. I think we need to realize that this is data which marketers would pay a lot of money for. And the other thing is the difference between electoral data and the UIDAI data is that there's also a lot of information about underage girls and their own personal information in the UIDAI data if they have Aadhaar, and electoral rolls don't. So would Mr. Malviya want to put his details out there or someone's daughter's details out there?
No, I mean, what kind of data are you talking about?
I'm talking about personal identification
Is that
information.
not there if you look up electoral roll and you find out who's where and who's
underage girls who are not eligible to vote, their data will not be in the electoral rolls, but it will be with the UIDAI.
The fact is that if there is a minor child that is enrolled as part of the family, then it is very unlikely that the child has a mobile number registered of her or his own. Therefore, the apprehension that Mr. Pava is raising is not entirely founded in reality. The fact is that there are several kids, including my own, who have Aadhaar cards, but their mobile numbers are the ones that we own as parents and not their own numbers. So, you know, this is stretching the argument too far. If you just want to oppose the government's move for a certain reasons, then find more innovative ways of doing it rather than hanging on to the straw and trying to make a boogie out of things which can be addressed.
We don't want any innovation ways. As an Indian, it is our right to protect our data.
1 second. I'll give Nikhil a chance to respond in just a second, but let me go across to Raj Chingappa. Raj, you just heard what Amit Malviya had to say, and you've seen the statement that's come out from both the UIDAI as well as the Law Minister, saying that this is not against press freedom. The media is entitled to go about its business, but the UIDAI is saying that it doesn't matter, regardless of whether the person is a journalist or not, or anyone else, we have to mention everybody in the FIR.
You know, I'm happy that both the Minister and the UIDAI believe in the freedom of the press. I think they need to demonstrate that by action. And if you look at what they're talking about, the FIR, it is a bit of a dodge. The fact is, as you had mentioned also, Shereen, that the names of the journalists and the paper have been mentioned in a certain column. And the other column says if a person's not known. At any time, this could be transferred across. Now, my surprise really is against the spokesperson that why is the government getting so defensive? Here is a journalist doing a legitimate job. This is in the public interest. 1.1 billion Aadhaar cards have been issued. We are all concerned, as you had rightly said, that our phone numbers and postal addresses are getting out. Rather than penalize the journalist, why haven't they launched? This is 5 days since that newspaper, the Tribune, has reported it. Why haven't they said we are going to conduct a thorough investigation of the entire matter? If there's been a breach of any kind, we will ensure that it is plugged and we'll put our findings in the public domain. Why are they going after the messenger?
Amit Malviya, respond to the president of the Editors Guild. Why are you, A, going after the messenger? And why this business of denying the fact that there has been a breach? The UIDAI, in an interview with me, the CEO acknowledges the fact that there has been a misuse of the grievance redressal facility. That is why you have filed this FIR in the first place. Just because the biometrics haven't been breached doesn't mean that there has not been a data breach. So why the denial?
And by the way, from what I understood from the Tribune, even though they argue that only physical data has come out, just as saying to Amitji, when they wanted to print the card for 300 rupees,
they could.
They used the biometric data, and therefore they were able to get a printout. I mean, the UIDAI officials would be better, but the fact was biometric data was used.
Well, that is what the UIDAI has, in its letter, asked the Tribune to share information on whether or not they could, in fact, get to the biometric at all. Respond to that, Amit Malviya. The question here from the president of the Editors Guild. I mean, and I had Rachna Khera on my program on Thursday when the story broke, and I asked her if anybody from the government had reached out to her asking for any assistance or facilitation on how she got about to the story, and nobody had. If you wanted the Tribune or Rachna to facilitate with the investigation, I'm sure that they would have been happy to.
And why take 5 days? I mean, before they can even take action.
You know, first of all, if there is a breach that has been reported in the section of the media, the government is obviously going to take action. And one of the processes for doing that is to file a complaint so that it can be investigated under appropriate procedural law or statute as it exists. If the concerned journalist is part of the process, then he or she would also be included in that investigation. Journalists, after all, are not above law. I don't understand why there is this craving amongst the journalists fraternity to be above law, or are they seeking some kind of immunity because they are journalists?
That's absolutely wrong. That's absolutely wrong.
Please let me finish. I didn't speak. No, Mr. Jengappa, I did not speak when you were speaking. Please allow me the courtesy.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Just yesterday, a journalist wrote a story that actually just compromised our stand at the international level. Now, that is also press freedom. I haven't seen anybody from the Editors Guild stand up and say that this wasn't the right thing to do, or you probably jumped the gun.
Well, the government,
I cannot understand.
The government can take action if you like.
The government provide you a certain immunity that you are above law and that you will not be part of any investigation. That's point number one. As the IT minister's tweet said today very clearly, that he has asked the Tribune and the reporter to cooperate with the investigating agencies. Why is it so difficult to do that without trying to make it a more complicated affair as like a freedom of press and so on and so forth? I mean, you do realize that in our country, the journalist in
question in public on this program offered to facilitate. I asked specifically if anyone had contacted her, and nobody had. She welcomed the fact that the government and the UIDAI were taking action on the basis of her story on this program. She welcomed the move. Mr. Chengappa, respond to the point there being made by Amit Malviya that journalists seek immunity. Are journalists above the law? Why should the law not include what journalists may or may not do?
No one is even saying that. I think here, if it's pretty clear that the journalist was doing her job on public good. Now, in some senses, I believe, Shereen, that they're distracting the whole matter. This is not, it's not the journalist that's important. There is very, very vital information being put out by Aadhaar or being stored by Aadhaar. If there is a breach in that, I would expect the officials, rather than wait for 5 days, to immediately go down and act against it, rather than put an FIR and do other things. They first have to come out and say, yes, there's a problem. then we would take action against people. And if the journalists, for some reason, tell me, Shereen, you've done a lot of reports. You would have to use subterfuge in some senses for the journalist to be charged with forgery, cheating, and impersonation. How else would she get that information? If I went and asked these agents to give information, would they do it? Why haven't they arrested those agents? It's, you know, you can target the journalists so easily. It's now been 5 days. Why, if a journalist could get information so easily, why haven't they arrested all those 3 people who were part of the racket?
Okay, very quickly, Nikhil, I'll get you to respond and then come to you, Amit Malviya. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. If the journalists hadn't done that, then they would have said, how can you prove this, right? So journalists had to do it. The other thing is the way, because they filed FIRs, it discourages more research, more instances of trying to find flaws which the UIDAI needs to fix. And we don't know how many flaws are there that still haven't been found out because now people are scared to find these flaws. I think there is a serious, so there are other FIRs which have been filed, including Debayan Roy from your organization, and also Sameer Kochar, who's a researcher who's also found flaws. All these FIRs need to be dropped, and UIDAI needs to encourage people to try and find problems so they can fix it. The other thing is you need to now investigate the arbitrariness with which the UIDAI operates because, you know, even when it comes to decision-making such as the Airtel's Payments Bank case versus the case in case of Suvidha. Suvidha's license was cancelled. Airtel was given a suspension and then brought back in. What are the rules and the processes are still not very clear.
Okay, not very clear. Amit Malviya, respond to the comments that both Raj Chengappa as well as Nikhil Pava have made on the need to follow the same principle across the board as opposed to arbitrary action. And why not encourage people who are actually highlighting loopholes so that you can in fact plug them and make a much more robust system?
Well, first of all, Shereen, and I repeat again that the biometric is the soul of the Aadhaar system and that has not been compromised even once so far. Now, as far as other details, and I repeat again that most of those details are available on several other platforms and several other agencies have it. If there is a breach or there is a misuse of that data, then obviously there has to be a procedure that has to be put in place to take care of such exigencies and such breaches, and obviously filing a criminal case or an investigation is part of it, and that is what is being done in this particular case.